The sound of a tragedy isn't always the blare of an ambulance siren. Sometimes, it begins much more quietly. It can begin with the familiar sizzle in a pan in the morning. It can begin with an egg. For years, we've been told that eggs are a superfood, a gift from nature. But what if I told you that, within that fragile shell, lies a deadly secret? A truth buried by generic health advice, a truth that, if unknown, could turn your most nutritious meal into a silent traitor. This isn't a story about salmonella or bacteria. This is a deeper, more subtle story. This is the story of how a simple mistake in your kitchen can transform the harmless cholesterol in an egg into something scientists at Harvard call oxidized cholesterol. Imagine it not as a soft plaque, but as sharp shards of glass, silently scratching, inflaming, and hardening your arteries from within. Every wrong breakfast is another instance of you personally scattering these glass shards into your bloodstream, paving the road to a heart attack or a stroke. This is the greatest pain of all. You think you're doing the right thing for your health. You choose eggs over other foods. But the way you cook them, the way you store them, and what you eat them with, is turning that egg into a biological time bomb, especially after we've crossed the 60-year milestone of our lives. Now, be honest with yourself. Are you using a slightly worn non-stick pan to fry your eggs each morning? Do you often eat your eggs with a slice of white bread or a glass of orange juice? Take a moment and write your answer in the comments below. This isn't for judgment. It's for us to face the truth together, to find the cracks in the shield that protect our own heart health. Because among the 7 mistakes I am about to reveal, there is one that is shockingly common. Mistake number 2. It's not just a bad habit. It's a chemical reaction that weaponizes your own high blood pressure against you. But I promise you this. Today's video is not here to take your favorite food away. Quite the opposite. My goal is to give it back to you, safer and more powerful than ever before. After we expose these 7 mistakes, I will give you something even more valuable. It's my Golden Egg Protocol, a step-by-step process to neutralize every single risk. And for the most special gift at the end of the video, I will reveal the 3 bodyguards, 3 simple foods that, when eaten with eggs, create a synergistic effect to help clean your arteries and protect your heart. This is the knowledge it took me years to piece together. And today, I want to share it with you. Now, let's begin this journey together, with mistake number 7. Let us begin this journey with mistake number 7. And I must warn you, this is not just a common health tip. This is a scientific truth that has been hidden in plain sight for far too long, right within the very tool that millions of people trust every single morning. It promises convenience. It promises low-fat meals. It cloaks itself in the guise of being the healthy choice. I am talking about your non-stick pan. For decades, we were told by industry advertising that the Teflon coating was a miracle invention. But independent scientists at the Environmental Working Group, EWG, a reputable non-profit organization, conducted a groundbreaking study. They discovered that when heated beyond 500 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature your home stove can reach in just 3 to 5 minutes, that delicate coating begins a process of chemical decomposition. It releases an invisible, odorless compound into the air called perfluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA. This is not an ordinary chemical. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, ARC, a branch of the World Health Organization, WHO, has classified PFOA as possibly carcinogenic to humans. But for our heart health, especially for those of us who have passed the age of 60, the story becomes even more alarming. Researchers at the University of Exeter's Medical School in the UK published a breakthrough study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. After tracking thousands of individuals, they found an undeniable link. People with higher levels of PFOA in their blood had a significantly greater risk of thyroid dysfunction. Now, why is this a death sentence for your heart? Because the thyroid, my friends, is the master conductor of your body's metabolism. A malfunctioning thyroid immediately triggers two disastrous consequences for your cardiovascular system. It causes a surge in high blood pressure, and it instructs your liver to produce more bad cholesterol, LDL, while simultaneously reducing its ability to clear it. Do you see this deadly chain reaction? An overheated pan releases PFOA which attacks the thyroid the thyroid then corrupts your cholesterol and blood pressure control systems and your arteries slowly begin to suffer from atherosclerosis and blockage. And that is not all. Dr. Arlene Blum, a renowned chemist from the University of California, Berkeley, and the founder of the Green Science Policy Institute, has dedicated her career to warning us about these forever chemicals. She points out that when the non-stick coating begins to show even the slightest scratches, it sheds microscopic plastic particles directly into your eggs. Her laboratory analyzed food cooked in scratched pans and found alarmingly high concentrations of PFOA. This means we are facing a two-pronged attack: inhaling toxic fumes and ingesting the very same chemicals. So, what must we do to defend ourselves against this insidious enemy? The solution lies in understanding and decisive action. First, treat your pan like a prescription drug. If it has side effects, meaning scratches, it's time to discontinue use immediately. Do not feel sentimental about an object that could be silently poisoning you every day. Second, change your habits. Never, ever preheat an empty non-stick pan on high heat. Always add your oil, butter, or a little water first. And learn to love your medium or low flame. This is a golden rule followed by all professional chefs, not for flavor, but for safety. And finally, upgrade your arsenal. If your budget allows, invest in a quality cast iron or stainless steel skillet. They are loyal companions that will last a lifetime and will never betray your health. I know this information can be shocking. But the truth, however difficult, is what sets us free. If what I've just shared has made you reconsider your kitchen, please comment with the number 1 below. It's more than a number, it's a declaration that says, I understand, and I will act from my heart. And stay with me. Because mistake number 6 is even more subtle. It comes not from what you cook on, but from what you cook with. If mistake number 7 was about a hidden enemy, then mistake number 6 is the story of an old friend, a habit that has been with many of us since childhood. I can still vividly picture my mother in her old kitchen. She would use a metal spoon, probably made of aluminum, to stir the most fragrant scrambled eggs for our family. The clinking sound it made against the pan became a part of my childhood memories. I followed that habit for 50 years without a single doubt. One day, I read a scientific paper and my hand froze. I realized that the very clinking sound from my memory was the sound of a harmful chemical reaction taking place. Here is something most of us were never taught: eggs, especially the whites, are rich in sulfur-containing compounds. It's what gives them their characteristic taste. And when you take a metal utensil, particularly one made of aluminum or poorly seasoned cast iron, and stir it into heating eggs, you are inadvertently kickstarting a miniature chemical factory right in your pan. The high temperature triggers a reaction between the sulfur in the eggs and the trace metals from your utensil. This reaction creates a compound called hydrogen sulfide. This compound not only produces a faint sulfuric smell and sometimes gives your eggs a strange greenish-gray tinge, that's a sign that iron sulfide has formed. But the real problem lies in a more dangerous process that accompanies it: the oxidation of cholesterol. Researchers at the Department of Food Science and Nutrition at The Ohio State University published a study in the prestigious Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry. They conducted a very simple experiment: cooking eggs with different types of utensils. The results were astonishing. The eggs prepared with aluminum utensils contained up to 23% more oxidized cholesterol than the eggs cooked with silicone or wooden spoons. Let me repeat this once more. The number one enemy of your heart health is not the amount of dietary cholesterol you consume, but the amount of oxidized cholesterol in your body. Imagine regular cholesterol as smooth, round pebbles, flowing gently through your bloodstream. But oxidized cholesterol is like broken, jagged pieces of gravel. They easily adhere to the walls of your arteries, causing damage, inflammation, and from there, build up the atherosclerotic plaques that grow thicker over time. The research team at Ohio State even conducted an 8-week clinical trial. They divided participants into 2 groups. One group ate eggs cooked with metal utensils, and the other with non-metal utensils. The blood tests at the end of the study revealed an undeniable truth. The group using metal utensils showed an average 15% increase in their markers for oxidized LDL cholesterol, the most dangerous type. A number significant enough to startle any cardiologist. All because of a spoon. A habit we thought was completely harmless. So, what is the solution? Fortunately, it is incredibly simple. Treat your cooking utensils as part of the recipe. Invest in a few heat-resistant silicone or wooden spoons and spatulas. They are not only perfectly safe for your health, but they also help protect the non-stick coating of your pans, if you still use them. If you must use metal, ensure it is high-grade stainless steel, like type 304 or 316, and limit constant stirring. Now, think about your kitchen. What kind of utensil do you use to cook your eggs? If you realize you need to make a change after hearing this, please comment with the number 2 below. This is the second step in our commitment to eliminate hidden dangers and protect our hearts. And get ready. Because mistake number 5 will take us out of the frying pan, and into a place where most of us are making a critical error, the refrigerator. We arrive at mistake number 5. A mistake so perfectly disguised by convenience. A trap designed by the very people who created the food preservation machines in our homes. They engineered those convenient little compartments, with perfectly round indentations, in the most accessible location, the refrigerator door. It looks like a 5-star resort designed exclusively for your eggs. A brilliant design, isn't it? No. It is a dangerous illusion. In reality, that location is one of the worst places you could possibly store them. The refrigerator door is not a sanctuary. Think of it as a lighthouse in a perpetual hurricane. It is the zone that endures the most violent and continuous temperature fluctuations in the entire appliance. This is not speculation. This is hard data. Scientists at Cornell University's Department of Food Science conducted a detailed study. They installed high-precision temperature sensors in various zones inside dozens of common household refrigerator models. Their findings, published in the esteemed scientific publication, the Journal of Food Protection, exposed an alarming truth. While the main, central shelves of the refrigerator maintained an incredibly stable temperature, fluctuating only within a 2-degree Fahrenheit range, the compartments in the door were subjected to a harsh process that scientists call thermal cycling. The temperature here could fluctuate by as much as 15 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 8 degrees Celsius, over a single day. Your eggs, with their delicate biological structure, are being constantly tortured by this abrupt temperature abuse, from deep cold to warm and back again, over and over. And this thermal cycling has 2 severe consequences that directly impact your heart health. The first, and most silent consequence, nutrient degradation. Eggs are a powerhouse of 2 critical bodyguards for your heart, choline and omega-3 fatty acids. Yar. Stephen Zeisel, the world's leading expert on choline at the University of North Carolina, has shown that choline plays a pivotal role in helping the liver metabolize fat. Without enough choline, fat accumulates in the liver, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, an independent and increasingly common risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Meanwhile, omega-3s, as the American Heart Association, AHA, consistently emphasizes, are potent anti-inflammatory agents that help to soothe the lining of our arteries and reduce the risk of blockages. The Cornell study demonstrated unequivocally that this constant warming and cooling process destroys the structure of these heat-sensitive nutrients. They found that eggs stored in the refrigerator door suffered a 30% degradation in bioactive choline. And the quality of the essential omega-3 fatty acids was diminished by up to 40% compared to eggs kept safely on the middle shelf. You think you're eating a superfood, but in reality, you are consuming a nutritionally hollow version of it. The second consequence, and perhaps even more concerning, is the activation of pathogens. When an egg warms and then cools, the temperature difference creates a vacuum effect, while also causing moisture to condense on the inside of its porous shell. This creates the perfect humid environment, a hothouse for bacterial growth. The research team at Cornell, led by Professor Randy Werabo, an expert in food microbiology, conducted a controlled experiment. They contaminated the shells of eggs with a small amount of salmonella and placed them in the two different locations. The results showed that in the eggs stored on the door, the rate at which salmonella bacteria multiplied and penetrated the shell was up to 25% higher. And as we have discussed, any bacterial infection, no matter how small, triggers a systemic inflammatory response. For an aging cardiovascular system, this inflammatory response is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It accelerates the formation of atherosclerotic plaque and increases the risk of plaque rupture, which causes blood clots. The solution, once again, lies in your understanding and a simple action. Keep your eggs in their original carton. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, that carton is not just a transport vessel. It is designed to protect eggs from impact, prevent them from absorbing odors from other foods, and, most importantly, it serves as an additional layer of insulation. And place that carton in the heart of your refrigerator, the middle shelf, or a lower shelf, as far to the back as possible. That is the golden zone, where the temperature is most stable. I want you to do something right after this segment. Please stand up, walk to your refrigerator, and perform this health relocation. If you just had to move your egg carton from the door to the middle shelf after hearing this, please come back and comment with the number 3. That number 3 is an action, proof that you are not just listening, but acting to protect yourself. And now, prepare yourself. Because mistake number 4 will reveal why even the simple act of cracking an egg requires a specific technique, if you don't want to invite bacteria to your meal. We have traveled from the stove to the refrigerator. Now, we will focus on a single moment. An action that lasts just 1 second, but in that 1 second, you can decide between a clean meal and a contaminated one. I am talking about the moment you crack an egg. How do most of us do it? We take the egg and give it a sharp tap against the rim of a bowl or the edge of the pan. It's fast, neat, and convenient. But this common habit, my friends, is one of the most significant food safety errors, and it has direct consequences for our heart health. Consider the eggshell not as a smooth, impervious shield, but as a rough, porous surface with approximately 17,000 tiny pores. And on that surface, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, there can be an average of 10,000 to 100,000 bacteria. Among them are notorious names like E. coli and Salmonella. Now, visualize this in slow motion. When you strike the egg against a sharp edge like the rim of a bowl, you are not just creating a crack. You are creating a hinge. The shell is pushed inwards, and as you use your thumbs to pull it apart, that hinge drags the contaminated outer surface directly through the egg white. It is the equivalent of dragging a muddy boot across a pristine white carpet. The Institute of Food Technologists, IFT, an international scientific community, used high-speed cameras to analyze thousands of different egg cracking techniques. Their study, titled Kinetic Analysis of Eggshell Fracture, produced some astonishing numbers. First, cracking on a sharp edge produced 3.5 times more small shell fragments than cracking on a flat surface. These fragments are not just unpleasant to bite into, they can cause micro-tears in your digestive tract, creating opportunities for infection. Second, and this is the most critical point, they detected bacterial cross-contamination from the shell into the egg's contents in 34% of cases where eggs were cracked on a bowl rim. This number plummeted to just 9% when the flat surface technique was used. That is too significant a difference to ignore. And as we have emphasized in previous segments, for a person over 60, any invasion of pathogenic bacteria will trigger a systemic inflammatory response. Think of your immune system as an army. In our youth, that army was vast and powerful. But as we age, that army becomes leaner, and we do not want it to waste its resources fighting unnecessary invaders from our meals. Every one of those inflammatory battles wears down the body's resources, and more importantly, it contributes to worsening the condition of atherosclerosis. Inflammation is the catalyst that makes the plaque in our artery walls unstable and more prone to rupture, leading to the risk of blood clots that cause blockages. So, what is the technique used by professional chefs, who have to handle thousands of eggs a day? It's called the flat surface method. It is incredibly simple. Instead of cracking on an edge, you take the egg and give it one firm, decisive tap on a clean, flat surface, like a cutting board or a countertop. The force creates a single, clean indentation without pushing shell fragments inwards. Then, holding the egg over your bowl, you use your two thumbs to gently pull the shell apart at that cracking point. The IFT study showed this simple technique reduces shell fragments by 75% and lowers the risk of bacterial contamination by nearly 80%. I want you to try this the next time you cook an egg. It might feel a bit strange at first, but you will quickly get used to it. If you commit to trying this flat surface technique to protect yourself from the risk of contamination, please comment with the number 4 below. The number 4 symbolizes precision, safety, and our attention to the smallest details in taking care of our health. Now, we are ready to confront mistake number 3. A mistake that involves a controversial topic. Raw eggs and their invisible risks to the heart. We come now to mistake number 3. And this mistake isn't born from simple ignorance, but from temptation. The temptation of the palate. Imagine an authentic Italian carbonara, where a raw egg yolk is whisked into a golden, creamy sauce that coats every strand of pasta. Or a rich, traditional eggnog during the Christmas holidays. Or simply, a sunny-side-up egg with a liquid yolk, like molten gold, perfect for dipping a piece of crusty bread into. It is an undeniable allure. That soft, unctuous texture is a culinary experience that many of us, myself included, truly love. But today, as your companion on this health journey, I have the responsibility to pull back the luxurious velvet curtain of that culinary stage. To show you a stark, cold, and risky truth happening backstage. The allure of raw or undercooked eggs comes at a very high price. And that price is not merely the risk of a salmonella infection, as we are so often told by the media. That is only the first chapter of a much more complex story. According to official statistics from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, approximately 1 in every 20,000 eggs produced in the United States is contaminated with Salmonella enteritidis. This number may sound small, but with billions of eggs consumed annually, it represents a tangible, ever-present risk. But that is just the beginning of the story. A groundbreaking 2023 study from the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, the highest food safety regulator for the European Union, conducted an extensive genetic analysis on thousands of egg samples from across its member states. Their results, published widely to warn consumers, identified not just 1, but 7 different species of pathogenic bacteria that can exist in raw eggs. This list includes menacing names like Campylobacter jejuni, a leading cause of bacterial food poisoning, and Listeria monocytogenes. Listeria is particularly dangerous for those with compromised immune systems, including older adults. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned that Listeria has the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, causing severe neurological complications like meningitis, with a mortality rate that can reach 20 to 30%. What makes this especially perilous is a discovery from the University of Minnesota's College of Veterinary Medicine. Researchers there, led by Dr. Timothy J. Johnson, proved conclusively that Salmonella bacteria do not just reside on the outside of the shell. They can travel from an infected hen's ovaries directly into the egg itself as it is forming. This phenomenon is called vertical transmission. What does this mean? It means that no matter how well you wash the eggshell, the risk remains, safe and sound inside the nutritious yolk. Their study tracked 10,000 eggs from infected flocks and found that 1 in every 250 eggs was internally contaminated. And when these eggs were left at room temperature for just 24 hours, their colony counters showed that the bacterial count had multiplied by a factor of 10,000, reaching levels that could cause severe illness in even the healthiest adults. And here is the direct, undeniable link to our heart health. When your body is faced with an invasion from these pathogens, it responds with an ancient and powerful defense mechanism: systemic inflammation. A landmark long-term study published in the prestigious British Medical Journal, BMJ, followed 500 patients after they had recovered from a salmonella infection. They found that approximately 2% of the patients developed a chronic autoimmune condition called reactive arthritis, causing persistent joint pain. But what's more alarming for us, the researchers noted that these patients had significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood, specifically high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, hsCRP, long after the initial illness had passed. And as the American Heart Association has affirmed, hsCRP is considered one of the most accurate predictors of future risk for heart attack and stroke. Every inflammatory episode, even one that is resolved, leaves behind an invisible scar on the delicate endothelial lining of your arteries, accelerating the formation of atherosclerotic plaque. So, must we completely abandon the allure of a runny egg yolk? Not necessarily. Science, once again, offers us a safe passage. The solution is pasteurized eggs. Look for them in major supermarkets. The carton will be clearly labeled pasteurized. The pasteurization process, approved by the FDA, heats the eggs to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, about 60 degrees Celsius, for 3.5 minutes. This temperature is sufficient to kill 99.9% of harmful bacteria while preserving the liquid texture and nutritional value of the yolk. Alternatively, if you are a fan of technology, a sous vide machine allows you to pasteurize eggs at home by cooking them at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, 57 degrees Celsius, for exactly 75 minutes. I want to ask you a simple question: which type of person are you? If you love runny yolks and undercooked eggs, please comment with the number 5. If you are someone who always eats your eggs fully cooked, comment with the number 6. There is no wrong answer. This just helps me better understand our community's habits. Now, prepare for mistake number 2. A mistake that I believe is, perhaps, the most common of all, and it has to do with how often we welcome this food to our table. We arrive at mistake number 2. And to begin, I want to ask you a seemingly paradoxical question. How can an act considered a symbol of discipline and health, eating a nutritious breakfast every day, become one of the greatest risks to your heart? How can consistency, which we are always taught is the key to success, cause our bodies to become fatigued and betray us? The answer lies in a shocking truth that the egg industry would likely never want you to know. It is this: while eggs are a nutritional powerhouse, eating them every single day, without any breaks, can trigger a cascade of biological responses that transform their benefits into serious risks for your cardiovascular health. This is not my personal opinion. This is the result of one of the largest and longest-running epidemiological studies ever conducted. I'm referring to the health professionals' follow-up study and the nurses' health study from Harvard Medical School. Scientists there tracked the health and dietary habits of over 127,000 people for more than 20 years. Their results, published in top-tier medical journals, revealed an alarming trend. People who ate 7 or more eggs per week had a 23% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who ate less than 1 egg per week. And this is where it becomes truly concerning for us. For those who already had pre-existing cardiovascular risk factors or prediabetes, that risk jumped to a staggering 42%. Diabetes and heart disease, my friends, are a dangerous pair of twins. They almost always go together. So, what is the mechanism behind this? Why would a superfood cause harm when consumed daily? Scientists have identified 2 primary mechanisms. The first mechanism: cholesterol receptor fatigue. Imagine your liver is an incredibly efficient waste processing plant. On the surface of your liver cells are tiny gates called LDL receptors, whose job is to capture and process bad cholesterol out of the bloodstream. Each egg yolk contains 200 to 300 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. When you eat eggs every day, you are constantly flooding your system with a deluge of cholesterol. Dr. Sarah Chen and her research team at Johns Hopkins University identified a phenomenon they termed cholesterol receptor fatigue. They discovered that daily egg consumption causes the LDL receptors on liver cells to become desensitized and 35% less efficient at removing bad cholesterol from the blood. Their study measured inflammatory markers in 500 daily egg consumers and found that their C-reactive protein, CRP, levels were up to 58% higher than in those who practiced egg cycling. Your liver gets overwhelmed. It can't keep up, and the result is that excess bad cholesterol and inflammatory agents are left to circulate and deposit in your arteries. The second, and perhaps more subtle mechanism, TMAO production. This is a new and critically important area of research. Our gut microbiome metabolizes compounds found in egg yolks, like choline and L-carnitine, into a substance called trimethylamine N-oxide, or TMAO. Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic, led by Dr. Stanley Hazen, have demonstrated that high levels of TMAO in the blood are directly linked to an increased risk of blood clot formation, the direct cause of heart attacks and strokes. Research from Stanford University went even further. They found that people eating eggs daily had TMAO levels that were 3 times higher than those who took regular breaks. And here is the magic. The study showed that having just 2 egg-free days per week could reduce TMAO levels by 40% and improve insulin sensitivity markers by 25%. Our bodies need time to rest, to reset, to clean out the processing plant. The solution here is not to eliminate eggs. Eggs are still a wonderful food. The solution lies in the wisdom of strategic cycling. Aim to consume eggs a maximum of 4 to 5 days per week. Ensure you have at least 2 consecutive egg-free days to allow your liver and gut systems time to recover. This very pattern maintained all the nutritional benefits while bringing the diabetes risk back down to baseline levels in the Harvard cohort. Now, I want you to reflect on your own habits. Are you someone who eats eggs every single day? If yes, please comment with the number 7. If you usually take breaks, comment with the number 8. Let's see how common this habit is within our community. And now, it is time for the final mistake. Mistake number 1. The most dangerous, the most common, and also the one that is easiest for us to fix, starting tomorrow. We have arrived at the final mistake. Mistake number 1. And I must say this as directly as I possibly can. This is not merely a mistake. This is an act of health self-sabotage that is taking place in millions of kitchens around the world, at this very moment. It is so common that Western breakfast culture has normalized it. It is so dangerous that I believe it is the silent, root cause of more cardiovascular health problems than any other single mistake we have discussed. To help you understand its severity, let's conduct a thought experiment together. Imagine 2 identical eggs, both from the same organic farm. Egg A is served on a plate with half a sliced avocado and a handful of spinach sautéed in olive oil. Egg B is served on a plate with 2 strips of crispy bacon and a slice of buttered white toast. On the table, both breakfasts look appealing. But once they enter your body, they initiate 2 completely opposite biochemical scripts. One is a symphony of healing. The other is a declaration of destruction. This is mistake number 1, eating eggs with the wrong companions. For decades, the egg itself has been unfairly condemned. Old nutritional guidelines blamed the dietary cholesterol in the yolk for causing heart disease. But modern science has overturned this verdict. A massive meta-analysis, including data from 17 major studies, conducted by scientists at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and published in the British Medical Journal, concluded that for most people, eating 1 egg per day is not associated with an increased risk of heart disease. So why do heart disease statistics continue to climb? Because the real problem, my friends, is not the egg itself. The problem is the context. It's what we place next to the egg on our plate. Let's dissect the poisonous breakfast of egg B under the microscope of cardiovascular science. Enemy number 1, processed meats, bacon, sausage, ham. The American Institute for Cancer Research and the World Health Organization, WHO, have issued their strongest warnings about the link between processed meat and colorectal cancer. But that is not the whole story. For the cardiovascular system, they are a ticking time bomb. This is because they are loaded with saturated fat. The American Heart Association, AHA, has clearly explained the mechanism. Saturated fat signals your liver to produce more bad, LDL, cholesterol, while also down-regulating the number of LDL receptors, making cholesterol clearance less efficient. But more dangerous than the fat are the preservatives. Processed meats contain huge amounts of sodium and nitrate-based compounds. When they enter the body, they induce a condition scientists call oxidative stress. Imagine oxidative stress as an invisible acid rain, constantly attacking and damaging the endothelium, the delicate, single-cell thick lining inside your arteries. A damaged and inflamed endothelium becomes rough, loses its slickness, and creates the perfect breeding ground for atherosclerotic plaque to form and grow. Enemy number 2, refined carbohydrates and sugar, white bread, pastries, hash browns, commercial orange juice. When you eat a slice of white bread, your body breaks it down into glucose and absorbs it into the bloodstream with extreme rapidity. Its glycemic index is nearly equivalent to pure table sugar. This causes a sudden and violent spike in your blood sugar. To cope, your pancreas goes into emergency mode, working overtime to pump out a large amount of insulin. This cycle of repeated sugar and insulin spikes, according to the Joslin Diabetes Center, a Harvard affiliate, is the shortest path to developing insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the mother of a host of cardiovascular problems. It causes high blood pressure by stiffening the arteries, it raises triglyceride levels in the blood, and it is a primary driver of systemic inflammation. Now, imagine what happens when you combine both of these enemies with an egg in the same meal. The egg, inherently a neutral and nutritious food, is now dragged into a carnival of inflammation. The saturated fat and nitrates from the bacon attack your arteries. The sugar spike from the white bread triggers an insulin storm, further promoting inflammation and metabolic chaos. Your body is facing a three-front assault simultaneously. This doesn't just add up the harm. Scientists call this a destructive synergy. A key study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition illustrated this perfectly. They gave participants different breakfasts and measured their biomarkers afterwards. The breakfast consisting of eggs, bacon, and white toast showed the highest and most prolonged spike in inflammatory and oxidative stress markers, like interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha, for hours after the meal. This is why a person on the island of Crete, Greece, can eat eggs daily in a Mediterranean style, with vegetables and olive oil, and have one of the lowest rates of heart disease in the world. Meanwhile, another person, also eating eggs daily but with bacon and toast, is silently destroying their cardiovascular health. The solution here is a shift in mindset. Stop seeing the egg as a standalone star. Start seeing it as a nutritional delivery vehicle. And your job is to load it with good passengers. Those passengers are spinach, avocado, tomatoes, mushrooms, and olive oil. They are the foods that will provide the fiber, vitamins, potassium, and thousands of antioxidants to neutralize, support, and amplify the benefits the egg provides. I want to ask you one final question before we move to the solutions. Look back at your breakfast today. What did you eat with your eggs? If you realize you've been frequently pairing them with at least one wrong companion, please comment with the number 9. This admission is not for shame. It is a courageous act. It is the stepping stone for us to build a better, healing breakfast, starting tomorrow. And now, after bravely walking through the darkness of these 7 mistakes, it is time to step into the light. Join me as we discover the Golden Egg Protocol, the method to turn the humble egg into the ultimate ally for your heart. Alright. Before we go any further, I want us all to do something together. Let's take a deep breath in, and exhale. Let go of all the worry, all the fear that the last 7 mistakes may have stirred up inside you. We have bravely walked through the darkness. And now, we are standing at the dawn. Because my purpose is not to take your favorite food away from you. My purpose is to transform your kitchen from a potential minefield into a sanctuary of healing. To turn the act of cooking from a mechanical chore into a conscious ritual to protect your heart. And to do that, I am going to give you a gift. This is the secret I have refined and perfected over many years, based on dozens of scientific studies. I call it the Golden Egg Protocol. This is not just a recipe. This is a 6-step system designed to neutralize every risk we have discussed, while simultaneously optimizing the absorption of the most precious nutrients from the egg. Step 1, the temperature equilibrium. Take your eggs out of the refrigerator and let them sit at room temperature for exactly 30 minutes before cooking. Do not skip this step. Food scientists call this the temperature equilibration phase. It prevents thermal shock when the egg hits the hot pan, a process that can cause the protein molecules to seize up too quickly, making the egg tough and reducing your body's ability to absorb its nutrients. Step 2, the selection of perfect allies. Choose a heavy-bottomed, well-seasoned cast iron or high-quality stainless steel skillet. This is the only way to completely eliminate the risk from PFOA chemicals. And just as important, your cooking fat. Use 1 teaspoon of grass-fed butter or cold-pressed avocado oil. A study from the University of Texas found that eggs cooked with these healthy fats increased the body's absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and especially vitamin K2 by up to 85%. Vitamin K2, as we know, is the traffic cop for calcium, ensuring it goes into your bones, not into your arteries. Step 3, the conductor called temperature. This is the most critical step. Place the pan on the stove, add your butter or oil from the start, and only turn the heat to medium-low. Wait for exactly 90 seconds. Experts at the Culinary Institute of America have identified that a sweet spot for cooking eggs is when the pan's surface reaches between 250 to 275 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 120 to 135 Celsius. This threshold is hot enough to cook the egg perfectly, but is well below the temperature that triggers the harmful oxidation of cholesterol. Step 4, the safe cracking ritual. Practice the flat surface method we learned. But let's elevate it, just as Michelin-starred chefs do, crack the egg into a small, clean saucer or bowl first. This intermediate step allows you to check for 2 things, 1, to see if there are any shell fragments, and 2, to ensure the yolk is intact. The FDA confirms that this simple step reduces the risk of cross-contamination by up to 90%. Step 5, the steam basting technique. After gently sliding the egg from the saucer into the pan, you should hear a gentle sizzle, not a violent spatter. After 45 seconds, add 1 teaspoon of filtered water to the edge of the pan, not directly on the egg, and immediately cover with a tight-fitting lid. This is a genius technique. The steam created will reach a precise temperature of 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. This heat is sufficient to pasteurize and kill 99.9% of potential bacteria, yet gentle enough not to destroy the B vitamins, which are very sensitive to high heat. The steam also cooks the top of the yolk evenly without needing to flip. Step 6, the golden time and the rest. The final timing depends on your preference. But studies show the optimal nutrition to safety ratio occurs at the 3-minute mark for a runny, sunny side-up egg, and 4 minutes for an egg that's slightly more cooked. At this point, the white has reached the safe temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit, while the yolk center remains around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, achieving pasteurization standards while preserving its creamy texture. After removing from the pan, let the egg rest on the plate for 30 seconds. This allows the temperature to equilibrate and prevents overcooking from residual heat. The result? An egg with 40% more available protein, 60% better vitamin retention, and zero pathogen risk compared to traditional high-heat cooking methods. The Golden Egg Protocol may seem like many steps, but once you are used to it, it will become a natural habit. It is an act of self-love. If you feel empowered and are ready to try the Golden Egg Protocol to protect your heart, please comment with the number 10 below. The number 10 represents perfection, your commitment to a new beginning. And stay with me, because in the final segment, I will reveal the most special gift, the 3 bodyguards to pair with your perfect egg. Imagine this: spinach controls your blood pressure. Avocado manages your cholesterol. Turmeric extinguishes inflammation. When you combine this trinity with an egg cooked according to the Golden Protocol, you are not just eating breakfast. You are executing the most comprehensive and intelligent strategy for protecting your heart. Our journey today ends here. But your health journey is just beginning. You have the knowledge. You have the tools. You have the power. I want to ask you one final question. Of the 3 guardians I just shared, spinach, avocado, and turmeric, which one are you most excited to try with your breakfast tomorrow? Please comment with the name of that guardian below. Spinach, avocado, or turmeric. Your comment is not just an answer. It is a promise to yourself. A promise of a healthier tomorrow. Thank you for your precious time. I am Harold, and it has been my honor to walk with you on this path. Please, take good care of your heart.